Hello everyone. Dear viewers of my YouTube channel, we continue our journey through the animal world. The heroine of today's video is a bearded dragon. I have collected for you top 10 interesting facts about these cute animals. Friends, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, put likes, leave comments and share videos on your social networks. Go! 10th place. When threatened, the animal inflates its throat and tries to scare off the enemy with spreading thorns. This moment of behavior should also be taken into account by terrariumists. If the agama rises, swells, flattens to unbelievableness, puffs up its spike-like outgrowths and opens its mouth, it means that it sees some kind of danger in the surrounding environment. You should not take the agama or feed it from a position when the hand falls on the animal from top to bottom. It perceives this as a threat from the air. Because this is how all small animals are hunted by birds of prey, it is best to serve food or take the agama in your hands through the side door in the wall of the terrarium. The strong, powerful legs of the bearded agama have short toes with claws. Males are slightly larger than females, they have a wider head and thick tail, otherwise sexual dimorphism is weakly expressed. The color of individuals of both sexes is practically the same. If you turn a sexually mature male onto his back, you can see a slight thickening at the base of his tail next to the cloaca. In females this thickening is not observed, as well as pronounced femoral pause. 9th place. It is noteworthy that in most adult bearded agamas, the tail is often damaged. When kept together, young lizards often bite off or accidentally break off the tips of each other's tails. The wounds heal quickly and this injury does not bring any torment to the animal, but, unfortunately, the tail of a bearded agama does not regenerate. To preserve this beloved beauty, experienced herpetologists advise keeping young animals in separate containers, not letting little agamas come into contact with each other. 8th place. The species Pagona viticeps is endemic to Australia. Inhabits arid biotopes, deserts and semi-deserts with sparse vegetation, dry forests, and in some places in rocky areas. It never occurs in the coastal strip. It predominantly leads a daytime and terrestrial lifestyle. However, in habitats, a bearded agama can often be seen on the trunks and branches of trees, as well as on the walls of low buildings and on fences. Tenacious claws allow this rather large lizard to climb superbly. 7th place. Mating season for agamas begins after a short hibernation. That occurs in July. Winter in the southern hemisphere coincides with our summer months. Bearded agamas do not dig holes, but they bury their eggs in the ground to a depth of about 30 to 40 centimeters. Like all social animals, bearded agamas live in small flocks, most often in the form of a harem of one male and several females. They feed on small insects, worms, herbaceous plants, young leaves and shoots. At the moment, the bearded dragon is an excellent object for terrarium keeping. Very popular in Europe and the USA. In captivity, many color morphs, colors, of bearded agamas have been bred. 6th place. The bearded agama very quickly gets used to the hands of a person, sits on the owner's shoulder with pleasure and blinks with pleasure if it scratches its neck. But such a comfortable behavior and affectionate disposition can be achieved in only one way: communicating with the pet constantly. To grow a tame agama, you need to stroke it every day. Talk to it in a quiet voice at every feeding, and even better, once every 1 to 2 days, pull it out of the terrarium and hold it in your palms. Clearly fixing the animal with one hand and stroking the baby with the other fingers, while softly and gently saying some words to your pet. Reinforce any communication with the agama with affection and delicacy, and soon a pleasant surprise will await you, a completely tame and friendly creature. If the agama tries to grab your finger or bite you, do not despair and be patient. You cannot punish and beat a pet. This is not a dog or a cat. Reptiles have a completely different psychology. They need more time to get used to a person, but, having remembered you and your household, the animal will grow up calm, adequate, non-aggressive, devoid of fearfulness and ready for communication and affection. 5th place. The diet of bearded agamas consists of animal, about 60 to 70%, and plant foods, 30 to 40%. Popular food insects such as crickets, zoophobes and cockroaches are used as animal feed. It is strictly forbidden to feed the bearded agama with insects not bought in special stores, but caught in nature. You can infect your animal with pesticides or insect parasites. 4th place. From plant food, the bearded agama is very fond of green leafy crops, dandelion leaves, lettuce, parsley, celery, as well as an apple and grated carrot. Fresh feed should be placed in special feeders to prevent ingestion of soil particles. 3rd place. Agamas should always have fresh water in the drinker. Some sites say that not all agamas are accustomed to using a drinker. You may have to suck a juvenile out of a syringe or spray it on the face with a spray bottle. If the agama does not react to water in any way, it can be concluded that it has enough liquid obtained from fresh plant feed. 2nd place. Like all desert lizards, the bearded agama needs temperature and light conditions. Since she leads a daytime lifestyle, then in the daytime she will be happy to bask under an ultraviolet lamp. The bearded agama needs ultraviolet light not only for light and heat, but also for the synthesis of vitamin D3. The upper heating is more important than the lower, as we have already said, because the behavior of the lizard itself is conducive to this. Having chosen the most advantageous point, the agama will bask for long hours under the rays of the artificial sun. For this, the Repti Glow lamp number 8 or 10 is suitable. You can buy them in a large pet store or order via the internet. Before buying and settling a baby in a terrarium, it is necessary to test its temperature and humidity. 1st place. The total air temperature should be about 28 degrees Celsius, in the cold corner, about 25 degrees Celsius, and at the local heating point, about 40 degrees Celsius. If the parameters of your lamps for a certain volume of the terrarium do not allow obtaining the required values, they can be increased using the bottom heating. The ideal option would be a heating mat, which is placed under the bottom of the terrarium. Thermal cords inside the terrarium or heating stones made of foam or other synthetic materials will absolutely not work. Friends, thank you all for watching. I really hope that this video was interesting to you. I love you all very much. See you later.